Colt Single Action Army. Colt Single Action Army entered production in 1873 after trials the previous year as the new model Army metallic cartridge revolving pistol, factory designation Model P. It evolved from the Richards-Mason cartridge conversions and the 1871-72 open top, gaining a stronger top strap that satisfied Army requirements. Between 1873 and 1891, 37,063 examples were issued, with service continuing until replacement by the Colt Model 1892. Production paused in 1941 after 357,839 first-generation guns, then restarted in 1955 and again retooled in 1976 for the third generation. It has been known by many names: Model P, Peacemaker, Strap Model, Thumbbuster, and Hogleg for the 7.5-inch version. Barrel length nicknames developed among users and collectors: Cavalry 7.5 inches, Artillery 5.5 inches, and Civilian 4 3/4 inches, along with Sheriff's and Storekeeper's short variants. The Frontier 6-shooter marking denoted .440 barrels, and later families included Bisley, Flat Top Target, and New Frontier. Mechanically, it is a single-action 6-shot revolver, usually carried 5-up for safety. Early examples were blued steel with bone charcoal case-hardened frames and hammers, with nickel added soon after. Its influence is unusually durable, spawning generations of replicas, special editions like long-barrel buntline configurations, and Colt's own New Frontier. Early U.S.-inspected examples were stamped U.S. with inspector cartouches, and the company offered detachable skeleton shoulder stocks on some long-barrel guns, period buggy rifles later folded into the buntline legend. Cultural demand from Western films and television in the 1950s-60s directly contributed to Colt's 1955 reintroduction, and the factory still lists blued and case-hardened .45 Colt models in the classic barrel lengths, alongside limited engraved runs marking the 150th anniversary.
Colt Walker. The Walker's lineage begins with Samuel Colt's Patterson revolvers produced in New Jersey, widely used by Texas Rangers who recognized the advantage of repeating fire but wanted greater power and robustness. After the 1844 Battle of Walker Creek, Samuel Walker, then a Ranger and later an officer in the U.S. Mounted Rifles, approached Colt to build a heavier, larger caliber revolver tailored for mounted combat. Colt, having ceased induction in his first venture, seized the opportunity in 1847 and with Eli Whitney Jr. manufactured the new model in Hartford with remarkable speed, completing 1,000 revolvers in 6 months. The Colt Walker was a .44 caliber 6-shot percussion arm that dwarfed its predecessors. At roughly 4.5 pounds, it was exceptionally heavy for a handgun, and it incorporated a fixed trigger and dedicated guard rather than the Patterson's folding arrangement. The design brief emphasized maximizing stopping power against mounted or numerically superior foes, which shaped its large cylinder and charge. Intended for mounted troops in the U.S. Mounted Rifles, it proved effective both on horseback and on foot, delivering unprecedented volume and power in a sidearm for its day. Its success returned Colt to the firearms business and set in motion the subsequent Dragoon models and, ultimately, the cartridge-era revolvers for which the company became known. The revolver's fame is tied to the Mexican-American War and to Walker himself, who was killed at Huamantla weeks after receiving the new guns. Original examples are exceptionally scarce, with surviving pieces residing in museums and advanced collections. Colt 1851 Navy. Designed in 1850 and produced through 1873, the model 1851 Navy became one of Colt's most widely made percussion revolvers, with production exceeding 250,000. Arriving during the California Gold Rush era, it met strong civilian demand while also filling military needs. Model evolution included variants such as the 4th model, with a large rounded brass trigger guard, one of several detail distinctions across its long run. Also known as Colt's belt pistol, the 1851 Navy was a .36 caliber 6-shot single-action cap-and-ball revolver intended to balance power and portability. It sat between the massive .44 Dragoons and the smaller pocket revolvers, making it a practical choice for officers, sailors, and civilians who wanted manageable weight without surrendering effectiveness. Its caliber choice reflected that compromise. .36 offered more reach and lethality than pocket arms, while remaining lighter than the .44s typically favored for mounted service. The revolver saw extensive private and official carry during the American Civil War, with usage particularly widespread among Union troops. Internationally, Colt's global sales network brought the model into foreign service. Russia and Turkey acquired quantities during the Crimean War, demonstrating the company's expanding export footprint. The 1851 Navy's commercial success set the stage for Colt's later cartridge conversions and ultimately the Single Action Army, making it a crucial step in the firm's progression from percussion to metallic cartridges. Surviving originals are prized antiques, and modern reproductions remain available for black powder shooters and reenactors.
Colt Python. In the mid-1950s, Colt developed a premium .357 Magnum revolver at the urging of Bill Henry, who advocated for a luxury target concept to rival the Smith & Wesson Model 27. Master gunsmith Aldebert Al Gunther led the design, beginning with an officer's model match frame and Colt's Target Master rear sight, then strengthening the frame and cylinder. He selected a heavy ribbed barrel with a full underlug to stabilize the sight picture and recoil, later reducing weight by hollowing the underlug and cutting ventilation into the rib, creating the model's signature profile. The most popular among Colt snake guns, and usually referred to as the Rolls-Royce of revolvers, the Python appeared in multiple lengths, initially 6 inches, later 4, 2.5, 8, and a limited 3-inch run. Colt's polishers used custom wooden wheels faced with walrus hide to achieve the depth of the original royal blue finish, and the bores were reportedly burnished with a steel silver ball to a mirror sheen. Precision manufacturing and extensive hand fitting produced the bank vault cylinder lockup. Typical single-action pulls ran in the 2.5 to 4.5 pound range, with double-action pulls around 12 pounds, reflecting the tuned service target balance Colt pursued. Production ended in 2004 due to manufacturing costs, after which collector values rose sharply. Colt revived the Python in 2020 with internal revisions, including a strengthened top strap and re-engineered lockwork that produced a smoother double-action pull and more robust small parts. Early teething issues, such as occasional light strikes and screw loosening, were addressed. A mirror-polished blued variant returned to the catalog in 2024 at roughly the upper mid-four-figure list price range. Colt Mustang. Designed for pocket carry, the Colt Mustang is a single-action-only locked-breech pistol in .380 ACP rather than a straight blowback. The reintroduced pocket light weighs roughly 13 ounces empty, measured about 5.5 inches in overall length and 4 inches in height, with a slide width just under 0.8 of an inch. The slide carries a small integral front and a dovetailed rear notch. A solid aluminum trigger replaced earlier plastic pieces, breaking at about 6 pounds with short take-up. Controls include a beaver tail and a small thumb safety. The safety does not lock the slide as on a traditional 1911. 2 stainless magazines ship with the pistol. Colt targeted a service life of approximately 10,000 rounds before component breakage, with recommendations to replace springs at roughly 2,500 rounds due to set. The pocket light retains a small C-clip on the right side to secure the thumb safety for legacy parts compatibility, with plans stated to remove it in future iterations. Despite its size, recoil is relatively soft, likely due to incomplete powder burn in the short barrel. The reissued pocket light signaled Colt's intention to expand a modern .380 family built around the updated manufacturing approach. Colt 1911, or government model. John Browning's design that became the 1911 won U.S. trials and was adopted by the cavalry in 1911, serving as America's standard sidearm for roughly 3/4 of a century. Colt's contemporary catalog includes a government model that preserves many classic features presented in Series 70 form without a firing pin block, while Series 80 models add a spring-loaded plunger for drop safety. The modern Colt government model is offered in 45 ACP with 380 Super also available. This sample configuration uses a 5-inch national match barrel, single-action operation with a short trigger, the original barrel bushing system, and a free-floating recoil spring rather than a full-length guide rod. As the U.S. service pistol from 1911 onward, the platform's role included general issue to officers and enlisted personnel across 2 world wars and later conflicts, with deployment in pistols and, for the cartridge, in submachine guns. The design's influence is pervasive. Modern autoloaders owe much to its geometry and control scheme, and both 1911 and modern double-stack derivatives called 2011s persist across competition and defensive roles. Colt positions the government model as a faithful, classic-spec factory pistol, with modern CNC fit and finish, but without contemporary additions like accessory rails or extended controls, a snapshot of the pattern before it became highly modular. Colt Commander. Colt designed the Commander in 1949 to meet a U.S. post-war requirement for a lighter officer's pistol. Although the contract did not result in adoption, Colt released the model commercially in 1950. It became the first mass-produced American large-frame pistol with an aluminum alloy frame and the company's first pistol originally chambered in 9x19 mm. By 1970, Colt added an all-steel version called the Combat Commander, alongside hybrid CCO configurations that combined a Commander slide with an officer's size frame. Common descriptors include Lightweight Commander for the alloy frame version, Combat Commander for the steel gun, and CCO for the compact grip Commander Slide Hybrid. The Commander is a single-action, short-recoil, magazine-fed pistol with a 4.25-inch barrel and offerings in 45 ACP, 38 Super, and 9 mm. A small export run in 7.65 mm Luger also appeared. The 9x19 chambering aligned with NATO standardization goals, delivering a lighter, faster cartridge than 45 ACP for international logistics. 38 Super served competition and law enforcement interest, where high velocity was valued, while 45 ACP remained available for shooters who preferred traditional service ballistics. The pistol's role shifted from the original officer's sidearm concept into civilian concealed carry, law enforcement plainclothes use, and match shooting. The Commander format established the 4.25-inch barrel as an industry standard for compact 1911s, and the CCO configuration influenced a generation of carry-sized 1911 variants across other manufacturers. Early lightweight Commanders used Colt alloy aluminum with steel inserts at wear points, and a limited number were produced in 30 Luger for export. Modern Colt production continues to include Commander and Combat Commander models in multiple chamberings and finishes, while early lightweight and Gold Cup examples attract collector attention. Colt Officers ACP. Introduced in 1985, Colt's Officers ACP was Colt's in-house answer to a growing market for compact 1911s shaped by Detonic's Combat Master and numerous custom conversions. Colt offered both steel and lightweight Officers ACP frames and later folded the dimensions into its 1991 series compacts. The format also fed the CCO concept, commander-length slide on an officer's-length frame, adopted by other makers to balance reliability and concealment. At its core, the Officer's ACP is simply a 1911 in 45 ACP with a 3.5-inch barrel. Overall length shortened to roughly 7.5 inches and height to about 5.125 inches compared to full-size models. Magazines generally hold 6 rounds, with production variations over time. As with other short-slide 1911s, the pattern omits a full-length guide rod in some configurations and relies on tuned spring systems to control slide velocity. The platform's barrel length reduces velocity compared to a 5-inch gun.
Common tuning paths include replacing the barrel bushing, refining hammer and sear engagement, installing quality spring sets and alternative guide rod and bushing systems, and beveling the interior of the ejection port. Proprietary recoil parts on early guns can be scarce, which prompted the popularity of CCO hybrids that tend to preserve timing with a longer slide over the short grip. While Colt's catalog has moved toward other short slide approaches, such as the Defender, the Officers ACP remains a recognizable compact 1911 format, collected and carried by enthusiasts who understand its preferences for certain loads and spring rates.
Colt M4. The M4 traces its lineage to the AR-15 M16 program of the late 1950s and 1960s, with user demand for a shorter, handier weapon emerging from Vietnam-era experience. Early carbines in the CAR-15 family did not meet all needs, so Colt began work on the XM4 in 1982, with military testing in 1983 and formal U.S. adoption in 1994. The carbine saw early deployment in Kosovo in 1999 and then widespread use in Iraq and Afghanistan, accelerating the replacement of the M16A2 across many units. Colt held an exclusive M4 contract through 2009, after which other manufacturers produced M4 pattern rifles. Formerly designated Carbine Caliber 5.56mm M4, it is a gas-operated, air-cooled, selective fire weapon with a rotating bolt. Standard caliber is 5.56 by 45mm NATO, fed by 30-round Stanag magazines. The 14.5-inch barrel delivers effective performance to around 500 meters in specification, though typical close-quarters rolls operate at far shorter distances. The M4 fires semi-auto and 3-round burst, while the M4A1 changes the second mode to full auto. Cyclic rates fall between roughly 700 and 950 rounds per minute. Modularity is central. Optics, rails, lasers, night vision devices, suppressors, and underbarrel grenade launchers integrate through SOP OMD kits, with Block 1 and Block 2 packages defining eras of accessories. The M4A1 also adopted a heavier barrel, ambidextrous controls, and improved triggers, and the Army's improvement programs converted earlier rifles to the A1 standard. Ammunition developments, such as the M855A1 Enhanced Performance Round, addressed penetration and consistency. The XM7 next-generation squad weapon entered the picture in 2022, but the M4M and 4A1 remains in extensive service and continues to be upgraded in parallel with new systems across U.S. branches and many partner nations.
Colt SP1.
Colt's SP1 reached the civilian market in spring 1964 as a semi-automatic analog of the early military M16, effectively launching the commercial AR-15 category. Sales continued into the late 1980s, and the rifle established a pattern, lightweight, aluminum receivers, and polymer furniture, that diverged from the wood and steel ethos of earlier autoloaders. Often referred to in period materials as the Colt AR-15 SP1 or Sporter, the rifle was chambered in .223 Remington with a 20-inch pencil profile barrel and a 1 to 12-inch twist. The fixed carry handle A1 style upper housed a rear sight adjustable for windage with elevation set at the front sight post. Early rifles wore 3-prong flash suppressors before shifting to the closed slot birdcage. A1 length fixed stocks and triangular handguards defined the silhouette. Characteristic features such as the lack of a brass deflector and the absence of a forward assist distinguish SP1s from later models. Lower receivers initially lacked the protective fence around the magazine catch. The .223 Remington concept emphasized high velocity from a small projectile, making for a soft recoiling, quick handling rifle. With the 1 to 12 twist, the SP1 stabilizes 55-grain bullets, but not heavier modern projectiles. Shooters consistently remark on the pleasant recoil impulse and the handy ergonomics compared to contemporaries. The SP1 sits today as the civilian origin point for AR pattern rifles. Collectors track serial ranges and feature changes, 3-prong versus birdcage hiders, furniture shapes, receiver forgings. While the broader audience pursues retro builds that replicate the look and feel, original SP1s occupy the vintage end of the market, and their configuration continues to inform modern retro offerings built around today's manufacturing. If you enjoyed this video, a simple thumbs up or share helps more than you'd think, and it means a lot to us. If there's a Colt model, a design quirk, or an era of firearms you'd like to see covered next, drop it in the comments. Your suggestions matter. Thanks for watching.